You know it, I know it. The crypto market is this wild, exciting world, just humming with new ideas, and yeah, those stories of incredible gains. But let's be real. For every project that skyrockets, there's another one that just disappears. It's a really high-stakes game. And that's the big question, right? In the middle of all the hype, all the fear of missing out, how do you actually tell the difference? How do you find the projects that are genuinely building something new and avoid the ones that are just, all sizzle and no steak? Well, the answer is a simple phrase you hear all the time. DYOR. Do your own research. And look, this isn't just some catchy slogan to throw around. It's truly the most important skill you can have in crypto. It's all about taking back control and making calls based on what you know, not what you hear. So let's get into how you can do that, step by step. We've boiled it down into a really simple 5-point checklist that literally anyone can follow. First, we'll look at the project's blueprint. Then we'll talk about the team behind it, the jockeys. After that, we'll follow the money with tokenomics, check the vibe of the community, and finally, we'll make sure they're actually building something. This is your game plan. Okay, first things first. The absolute starting point for any serious crypto project. It's white paper. This is ground zero for your research. So what is a white paper really? The best way to think about it is like the project's constitution and its business plan all rolled into one. It's where the founders are supposed to lay everything out on the table, what problem they're trying to fix, exactly how they plan to fix it, and the tech they're going to use to get it done. A good white paper is super clear. It spells out a real problem and then gives you a logical solution that makes sense. A huge red flag, on the other hand, is a document that's just stuffed with meaningless buzzwords. If you read a whole page about paradigm-shifting synergy and you still have no idea what the project actually does, that's your cue to be very, very skeptical. And you gotta pay attention to the simple stuff too. Is the white paper full of typos? Is it just a mess to read? You have to ask yourself, if they can't be bothered to get their most important document right, how can you trust them to build a complex piece of technology? A sloppy white paper usually points to a sloppy project. An amazing idea is one thing, but execution is everything. That brings us right to our second point. It's an old saying, but it's true. Bet on the jockey, not just the horse. The team is what makes or breaks a project. And here's where it gets really clear. A huge green flag is a public or doxed team. That means you see their real names, their faces, their histories, there's accountability. The opposite of that? A totally anonymous team hiding behind cartoon avatars. Now, yeah, there are some famous exceptions to this rule, but for almost every new project out there, an anonymous team means they can just vanish if things go south. Big risk. So what should you be looking for? Simple stuff, really. Check for their LinkedIn profiles. Do they actually have experience in technology or finance? Have they ever worked for a company you've heard of? This isn't about being nosy. It's about doing your homework to see if the team actually has the skills to pull off what they're promising. All right, moving on to number 3. This is a big one that people often skip over, but it's so important. Tokenomics. You've got to follow the money and understand how the whole economic side of the project works.
The word tokenomics sounds kind of intense, but it's literally just token and economics smashed together. It's the rule book for the crypto's economy. It tells you how many coins or tokens will ever be made, how they get into people's hands, and most importantly, what you can actually use them for. One of the first things to look for is distribution. I mean, who owns the tokens? If you see a chart like this, where the team and early investors hold a massive chunk, be careful. That means a small group of people could decide to dump all their tokens at once, crashing the price for everybody else. What you want to see is a much more fair and widespread distribution.
Next up is supply. Is there a fixed number of tokens, like Bitcoin's famous 21 million cap? That creates scarcity, which can make it more valuable over time. Or is it inflationary, where new tokens can just be printed out of thin air? That's not always a deal breaker, but you have to understand that it could dilute the value of what you're holding. Your piece of the pie gets smaller. And this might be the most important question of all. What is the token actually for?
Does it have a real use case? Can you use it to pay for something on the network or to vote on the future of the project? If its only job is to be bought and sold on an exchange, its value is built on hype, and hype doesn't last.
Okay, that brings us to point 4. This one is less about the numbers and more about the people. You've got to check the community's pulse, because you can tell a lot about a project's health just by looking at its followers.
So jump into their Twitter feed, their Telegram group, or their Discord server. What's the vibe? Is it a healthy community with real people talking about the tech and asking smart questions? Or is it an unhealthy one that's just a wall of when moon and rocket emojis? One feels like a builder's workshop. The other feels like a casino floor full of bots.
And here it is. This is probably the single biggest red flag you can find in a community. If the team instantly deletes any tough questions, or if they ban people for having a different opinion, run. Just run away. It's a massive sign that they're hiding something and are only trying to protect the hype. A team with a real project isn't afraid of a little criticism.
And finally, number 5, we have to verify the technology. Because look, a fancy website and a good story are cheap. A real, working product that people can use, that's hard. You have to see if they're actually building anything.
And you do not have to be a coder to do this. There are 2 really simple checks. First, the GitHub test. GitHub is where developers share their code. You're looking for something called commits, which are just updates to the code. Are they happening regularly, or has it been dead silent for months? An inactive GitHub is a bad sign. Second, look at their roadmap. Are they actually hitting the goals they set for themselves, or are they constantly pushing deadlines and making excuses? This is what separates the dreamers from the doers.
And that's the whole checklist. When you follow these 5 steps, you're doing something really powerful. You're changing your whole approach. You stop being a gambler who's just betting on pure hype, and you become a strategic investor who's making moves based on actual research.
At the end of the day, just remember this. The crypto market has a way of rewarding people who are patient and do their homework, and it tends to punish those who are impulsive and just jump in without looking. This research process, it's your best armor. By putting in this work, you can walk through this crazy, exciting space with so much more confidence. So now I want to ask you, what is the #1 thing you always look for when you're checking out a new crypto project? Drop it in the comments below. Thanks for tuning into this explainer.